Brianna Charee, and I'll say I'm Brianna Charee. I'm the flyest motherfucker from the 203. I'm 23 years old. I love music. Go to the studio. Do what I have to do. Yeah,
So obviously, your part-time job is not the thing that fills your dreams. Do you want to talk a bit more about your aspirations with music and your dreams through there?
for sure. Um, when I first started music, I started making beats in the kitchen off of my phone. And I was like, oh, this is nice. And then when I actually started like writing over my own beats that I was making, I'm like, hold on, this could go somewhere. So let's tap into that. I've just been tapping into it ever since, and I feel like I could take it to the top with this.
Yeah, I think it sounds pretty good so far.
Thank you. You heard the whole checklist
Oh,
or just
yeah,
a
I
few?
did. I
Okay.
listened to it in the order that you sent it, and then I listened
Hmm.
back to like them randomly.
Okay, okay.
So going into your mixtape and kind of thinking about how you created it and who you are, I feel like just from the few answers that you've given, like you who you are is a big part of your music and just like feeling it out. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that and maybe how you as a person influences your music and any aspects of your identity or just like your personality play into all of the sound that you create?
For sure. Um, One thing I love about making music is that I don't have to be anything else but myself. So it's literally my music is really me. Like I write my own music, so I'm really telling you guys like the truth. And I wish for my music to resonate with the souls that it needs to resonate with. And I think like my lyrics, you guys will be able to connect with that. If you know me and you listen to my music, oh, it's like okay, it correlates. But yeah, it's always just gonna be me. It's me first, and then there's the artist. But we're the same person, so I can never lose my identity.
Can you talk a little bit more about that? That sounds so interesting. It's you first and then the music, but the music is
Right.
all that we hear. So how do you go about translating you into the music?
Honestly, on my social media, like my supporters and like my fans, I post like random content. So one day you're gonna see me eating my favorite food, and then one day you're gonna see me probably dancing a little silly dance. It's just what you see is what you get. So I think I have to just always just be myself in this music, and it's just much easier that way. I don't have to have this like fake persona or image of myself. That's just me.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting and refreshing because a lot of being an artist is like having a persona. I think a lot of professional artists talk about the difference, and actors, just people in general, talk about the difference between who they are when they're like on versus off. So
Hmm.
that's, I think, refreshing to just be like
Yeah,
yourself and let that guide you where it's going to go.
no matter what, for sure.
And I feel like in that same like area, you were telling me a little bit about the community events you do. Can you talk about that and like how you got into it and what they are?
Okay. Um, my first community event, it was a basketball event. It was taking place, I want to say like 2019. I was 19 years old. It was just off the idea, like we were in COVID at that time, and I think we were just coming out of COVID. And the neighborhood I live in, there's really not much for the kids to do or just for us to do at all. We never really come together like that. I'm like, no, we got to switch things up. Like we got to do something. So I brought the idea up with my brother, like, yo, we need to do a basketball event for the community. And it just started off as just a regular basketball game, food, and then we kept this going for probably 3 years. So this is the next one coming up will be in 2023. So that would be our fourth year. So it just started small with just an idea of doing something for the kids, and which led to it being actually like a known thing in my city. So that's kind of crazy just to see what an idea brought to life.
That's so, I feel like that sounds a lot like how you approach your music too. You like had this idea of how you wanted to share something and then it developed into something bigger than it originally was.
Literally. It
Like
just
starting
started off
it.
with making beats, and then making beats led to writing, and writing led to actually being consistent and serious about making music. So this is so funny. I'm not even lying. Like it's just crazy.
Can you talk a little bit more about that transition from just having fun to taking it seriously? What was that shift like?
um like my purpose with music is bigger than myself. Like I do make music for me, but when I realized, not even realize, when I would get messages or texts from people saying, "Hey, I just heard your song and it helped me with such and such." I was like, "What? My music is helping you with something, or you feel inspired?" That it was like a like out of a body moment. Like, okay, this is
Mhm.
bigger than me. This is not even just me. Like, this could be helping the next person. So I feel like I found my that's really my purpose. I think I have like different talents, but my talents all lead to helping people. So if that's making people happy and it's changing people's lives, okay, I'm doing something right. I think I'm in the right path, you know?
Yeah, I totally understand. I think that's
Yeah.
something that drives me also. So when you switched into that mindset of like, let's make this for real, um,
Mm-hmm.
how did you how did you go from like what was your first step that you took to go from just playing around? Did you immediately go to a studio or like start researching, or did you have someone that you asked for help that knew what to do as the next step?
Um, After I made beats and I wanted to take them to the studio, I did start. I always said any studio I go to first will have to be in New York. So like it was really no question about where I was gonna go. I just know I was gonna go to New York and record. I connected with amazing engineers, not just from New York, but from like Connecticut and different places. And yeah, when I went to the studio, the first day I went to the studio ever, I recorded like 3 songs, and there was a guy waiting for his session to be recorded, and he was like, I'm leaving my session, I'm packing up, and I'm walking out the door, and he was like, "Hey, you was recording that music?" And I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Wow, keep going." Just that alone, I'm like, okay, all
Yeah.
right, this is a simulation. Like, okay, I just got to the studio, so it must be sounding right. It must be doing something good. I gotta stick to this. Like, that was like a no brainer. Like certain things, I get like signs. I'm
Hmm.
pay attention to signs a lot. So if I get a sign, I'm gonna just go with it. So that was like when I was like, okay,
That's definitely a
confirmation.
major sign.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Have you had any other big moments like that as you've continued on your path?
Yeah, I have. It was just, like I say, my life is a simulation, but I'm so blessed to like have these encounters with people and like it'd be at the randomest times. It could be at the time where I'm probably like self-doubting, like maybe this isn't like all that, or maybe I'm probably doing too much. And every time I think I'm doing too much, somebody reminds me I'm not doing too much. I'm doing like just right. And yeah, it'd be the randomest moments.
Yeah, it's like when you're least expecting it, all of a sudden you get this like push of encouragement and you're like, okay, yes, now I remember my purpose and like why I'm here, why I started. And then
Right. And
you
it's always the
start.
times where you want to have a setback too. It's
Hmm.
like when you get a little comfortable maybe, or if I have a setback,
Right.
then it's like I get a push to keep going forward. And I love that. It's like God's watching over me.
Do you feel like those are the moments that inspire your music? Like what do you draw from when you're writing? Do you have like an example of one of your songs that you can tell us about your process and what inspired it and how it got from starting to finished?
Like this whole mixtape I'm dropping. The mixtape, by the way, is called There's No More Rules. If you guys are tuning into this, you can stream this everywhere, all DSP, Spotify, Apple Music. But this mixtape alone, this music's been curated since COVID. Like the songs, the beats, this was happening since COVID, and I'm just now like presenting it to you guys. So for me to the time I took and energy I put into my music, it's like I make a beat and I'll sit on it, or I'll write a first verse and I'll probably sit on it for probably 2 or 3 days and then go back to it just because I didn't want to force anything that wasn't really real, you know?
Hmm.
And it's like I go into a completely different space and energy. Like once I connect with the music, it's like I write based off how I feel, but it's like comes from a different place because I'm like, whoa, I was really thinking this, like I was feeling this, you know? It's like different. It's just very different. Any artist, not even just with music, any artist, you could be like a painter or whatever you do, if you go into that creative space, is completely different. It's like you have to really be tapped in and in tune with yourself and what you're doing to, feel that.
I totally understand what you're saying. And I feel like one of the songs on the mixtape that like caught my attention, and the more
Hmm.
that I'm talking with you now, it like makes sense with your personality, was
Hmm.
the song Hot Shit, because at first it kind of
That's my
starts
song.
off with like Megan the Stallion vibes where it's very like
Hmm.
confident, but then if you're listening closely, there's a lot of encouragement for other people mixed in with you talking about your own accomplishments and like your aspirations. Like you say, like you are proud of yourself, but you're also not finished. You have more that you want to achieve. And then you also are encouraging other people to work towards what they want. And I thought that
Hmm.
that was such a powerful moment to include in the song. If you want to talk a little bit more about that one.
For sure. That was actually one of the favorite songs I worked on, and my engineer, his name is Jason Sankar, he produced the beat. I found it on YouTube, and I was just sitting with them like, oh, hold on, this shit is fire. So I actually wrote the song, I think that day. Some days I do finish my music in the day, depending how I'm feeling or like what I'm
Mhm,
going through that day. So I think I did finish that song literally that day. But and even in the beginning of the song, the first thing I said is I want to talk to y'all because I
mhm,
really want to talk to you guys. So I'm filling you in on like what I was going through in the process of the music, and I have my own clothing brand too. So in the process of my clothing brand, and towards the end of the song too, I'm talking to you guys, explaining like what I've been through in like the past year. I think that's where it gets really intimate,
mhm.
and I think that's the most encouraging part where like you said, it's like a roller coaster. It's a high and then it goes to low and it's a high. But I think the ending, it's like a high too because I'm telling you my story, but I'm also encouraging you like, hey, I've been through this, but I still got to keep going. Like, because I know
Yeah.
people hear my music and even to this day, people tell me they're like, oh, I love what you. They think I'm there. Some people think I'm there already. They think I'm at that top level, but I'm not. And I think even if I'm at that top level, I wouldn't consider that because there's always levels to reach. I always want more for myself. So that song right there is basically saying like we're there, but we just got to keep going. And I say that too.
I like that. That's a good quote. You
What's a
did
good
were
quote?
there the last bit that you
What's a
said.
good? Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You gotta keep going.
Were there any songs on the mixtape that gave you a particular challenge while you were working on them? And then when you finally got through it, you were like, it's now in a place where I'm proud of it.
Hmm. That whole mixtape. I was stressing out. I was with my engineer. It's like probably like maybe a week or two before I actually was gonna like submit the songs. But I was just thinking like, is this it? Is this final? But how I got confirmation knowing that the songs were it and that I was comfortable is just a feeling I got. It's just like a feeling, an emotion. Like you hear the songs over and over again, but that one time you play it, you connect with it. Like I don't be processing my music at all. And so this one time I heard my music back and I processed like I was like, oh, I got blown away by myself. I'm like, holy shit. I made this. Like I've never had that moment, but I had that moment like, yo, I really made this. And that's that satisfaction moment, like, okay, like this is it. Like we could put this out.
That's great. Oh, okay. So I remembered.
You're good. You're good.
All throughout all your music, I listened to everything besides just the mixtape too, and the
Hmm.
earlier stuff also. And I can definitely hear like the nuances and the changes and the developments of you as an artist, like as we go
Hmm.
along. But I feel like throughout all of them, there is like a very specific aesthetic and there is a sound there that is cohesive throughout. What
Hmm.
did you like? Was that always your sound from the beginning, or did it develop into what it is now somehow specifically?
Somebody told me there was like they mentioned my sound too, like how my first music to what it is now, like the progress. And they're like, I know you didn't just come out the womb just rapping or singing like this, but I'm not gonna lie to you. Like when I first started making music, I thought that shit was fire. That's why I went to the studio. But there's always is improvement, but I don't think I was really too far off. Like I think this is like my calling because
Mhm.
how it just like aligns and like the progress of it all. it just like be blowing my mind and shit. Like I don't know, but
Yeah, I've seen that.
yeah.
It's like what you were saying in the beginning, like you are exactly what you show.
Yeah, and you guys are following my progress, and I try to be so transparent through my music that people who actually pay attention, I feel like you guys would know, but sometimes people don't know. But you're growing with me through my music, literally.
Hmm.
And what you like, what you see is what you get. Is me. This is Brianna Charee.
On your mixtape, were there songs that didn't make it that you wrote and that you had to cut from it? What was that process like?
hmm That was so sad. And it was so hard because you want to, put your best work out. And there was just one song in particular that I produced. But off this mixtape, before I get to that, I produced 3 tracks off this mixtape. Other 4 songs were produced by other producers. But one song that I really liked, it didn't get to make it only because it like the time frame. I didn't want to rush getting the song done, getting it recorded. I didn't want to like force it because my listeners can know when it's forced. I feel when it's forced. I just didn't want to put that out there, so I had to cut it. And I was like, you know what, might just release it like another time, but I'm satisfied with my listeners are gonna hear.
Yeah, I'm excited for them to hear it too. Do you have a
You like
personal
it? You
favorite
like it for
song?
real?
Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Do you have a personal favorite song from it?
Yes, I got 2.
Are you gonna tell us, or are they secret?
Yeah, I can tell you. It's Etiquette. That's track number 4, and it's Stay Loyal. That's track number 6.
Stay
Both of those were
Loyal.
produced by me too. Yep.
Stay Loyal is one of my favorites from it.
You like that one too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I think at that time of making Stay Loyal, I was is I would say my music is real because my music is really like a true story. But at that time, I was telling people like, riding around my town with my mind on a million because I really do be riding around my town with, my mind just thinking about 100 things like how can I be successful or like how can I get to the next level. Just always just trying to be better and I be by myself. So that's the best way to like clear my mind. So
Mhm.
literally, you guys will hear it. My listeners, you guys gonna hear it.
I want to talk a little bit more about the people who helped you make this album, the producers that you worked with, or any influences that directly, like maybe they picked up on something that you didn't, and you were like, "Wow, this would is so much better because you helped me get there."
hmm Definitely the first person to come to mind is my brother. That's like my right hand man. Like he called himself my manager, so I guess he's my manager. But he's like a person I run through. If I'm questioning something or I don't know, I'll go run to my bro and I'll be like, run it by him real quick. And if he approves or disapproves, I actually do listen because most of the time he's right when it comes to this music shit. So I do, give him the benefit of doubt listening. But besides from my bro, is definitely my engineer, Jason. He's like he makes my situation so comfortable. I go to the studio, I feel relaxed, I feel comfortable. Like he's like patient with me. He knows how like I try to be a perfectionist with certain thing. I could do a one word 20 times. So that's timely too, but it's never like a problem. He's always down for whatever. I want to say like my family, like my mom, she supports me. She loves my music. She don't really talk much, but when my music come on, she tells me like, "Okay, you sound good. I like that." I'm like, "Okay, okay." Mom likes it, so that's an approval right there. So it's just like my inner circle that makes it like easier.
Mhm. Did you do music in school? Were you in like any singing groups or anything, or no?
And it's crazy. After I started getting serious in music, I'm real like, yo, where did this come from? And I realized, I did concert choir. I did drums in middle school. I was in like band. And it completely like I disregarded it as I got older. I'm like, oh, that's something everybody do. But now I'm getting older, like everything actually be adding up. So you
Mm-hmm.
never know. That's crazy.
Is there anything else looking back that you're like, oh yeah, this I can see how it directly led me to here?
Literally. I will always be singing, I'm not gonna lie. I was in the military like before this. And when I got out of the military, that's when I started getting into like music more. So I was just going with the flow with that. I was in the shower one time And this is how I'm talking about confirmations. I was just singing, and my nana was like, "You're in the military. You should just be a singer." I'm like, no way. And I didn't see much of it, but I've always just been singing since I was a kid. There wasn't nothing serious at all. Like just loving to sing, literally
Hmm.
loving to sing. But looking back, I'm like, yo, I had this really in me since I was a kid, you know?
Hmm.
But now I'm actually using it. It's crazy.
That is so awesome. I love that so much.
It's so crazy.
Okay, I have another one for you. For, I mean, your mixtape is like your first, is it your first big release, or would you say that the EP was of similar feeling?
I think the my first EP was like a they was like, who is this girl? Like that's like a I think that was a small introduction. But I think this mixtape is like a whole new reintroduction because it's been like
Hmm.
2 years since I dropped like a project or like music on platforms. I've been dropping like on YouTube or SoundCloud, but on DSPs though, this is very major, you know? You know, this mixtape is the hottest shit dropping. Like it's fire, but this is not the best thing I'm dropping. Like I'm more excited for the music I'm dropping after this mixtape than the actual mixtape because I just know like the progress. I fall in love with my own progress. I'm not gonna lie, like it's all about progress to me. I don't care what I did a month ago, maybe last year. It's a whole new. Every day is a new page. You gotta do something different. You gotta, that's how I think. Like that accomplishment was cool, but we gotta get another one. Can't
Hmm.
really settle for that. But this mixtape fire.
Do you want to talk more about the like aesthetic of it? Because I know with this one, like there's like a very clear album cover kind of a deal, and maybe your personal aesthetic too. Do they work together? Is this one an offshoot of it in some way?
You talking about the cover?
Yeah, and just like your overall like your visual aesthetic. Is there anything there you want to talk about? And especially, yeah, how did you come up with this album cover?
The cover, I'm actually on the cover. I have my arms behind my head, my feet's kicked up on the table, and I have like a stop sign right here. But that in my mixtape is called "There's No More Rules." But I just think of the vibe of my picture with me just chilling, my feet kicked up. It's like, okay, I'm here. There's no more rules. Nobody can tell me anything. Like, and the reason why I have that title though, just to mention, nowadays with art, with music, anybody can do what you're doing. Like
Mhm.
they let people in who are spreading messages that don't have nothing to do with uplifting people or something about like tearing down, right? So if I could be somebody who can make motivational music or encouraging music and change somebody's life, oh, there's no more rules to this shit. They could, if clowns could get into the game, I could get into the game too. That's
Yeah.
with anything. So like my mixtape, you're gonna feel enlightened. I feel like after you hear it, you can probably feel motivated a little bit. You can probably feel encouraged. And you're gonna feel like a boss. So I'm a boss. So you're gonna feel the boss energy. Like it's just gonna transmit. You're gonna feel it.
Is that what you would say if you were gonna write like a description of the mixtape? Would that be it, or do you want to expand on that?
If I was to write a description, it would basically be that. I actually did write a description. I could send you a picture of it. I explained the mixtape, what it was for. I'm gonna send you a picture after this. But in the explanation, I basically just said what I told you. And yeah, it's just no more rules. Anybody could do this. Literally. Anybody could do this. The position I'm in now, not just with music, but like my clothing brand too, and like the stuff I do outside of both of those, it's like inspiring the other people around me. Like, yo, if she's doing this, I could do it. So that's another reason why there's no more rules either. Like anybody could get on.
Can you tell me a little bit more about your clothing brand?
hmm It's called The Hustle Be Real. I started that probably like 2018, 2019. And the reason why it's called The Hustle Be Real is because I have like so many damn ideas in my head. And ever since I was a kid, though, I really was a little hustler. I'd be in school selling the candy bars. I leave with like $20, $50 a day in my pocket. Meet me after class. I got you with the chocolate bars, you know. But but when I mean by the hustle, I mean like a responsible hustle. If you got like goals, you got dreams, it's gonna be real to get there. You can't stop, no matter what. Gotta go hard and stay focused.
Do you feel like the military or like your experience there helped you with that kind of focus and stuff? I feel like that mindset fits in with what I know about the discipline you find in the military.
No, literally, literally. I think, and that's why I said my life be correlating. Like joining the military, I think whew, it whips you into shape. You feel me? But no, definitely with like more of my values. I tapped into more of my values and morals, more like what certain things were. And they say in the military we're the 1%. You're in the army or any type of branch, you're only the 1%. Only 1% joins, right?
Hmm.
So I apply that to life. Like, okay, if I did the military, I could basically do anything. Mental toughness, you know?
Yeah.
So ever since then, it's like unbeatable, unstoppable. Like I could do anything for real.
How long were you in the military for?
3 years.
That is impressive. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think we're almost done. Just want to check
Hmm.
through and see if I have
I
any.
love your questions. It's making me think like, wow, hold on, I actually gotta think about these. Okay.
Good. That means I did my job well.
You did, you did.
Okay, so I feel like I think I have two questions for you left. The
Hmm.
one will be about music and one will be not about music. Um,
Okay.
but going with the music question first, you mentioned that, I mean, I don't know if you meant this as a figure of speech or if you already have plans, but you
Hmm.
kind of hinted at things after the mixtape. Do you already have things in work or is it just ideas in your head that you always have?
Both. It's both, but mostly ideas and work. I don't really want to talk about it right now, so I just like it to play out, you know.
Yeah,
But definitely, definitely ideas and work, and I'm excited. Like each year is like a bigger year, you know,
yeah.
and that's like my goal. I don't really know what the whole year has in store for me at all, but I feel like I'm about to pop. I say it. I didn't used to say it, but now I feel like I'm about to blow. Like I'm gonna blow up. You know, I feel I get the energy. I barely sleep. I say this like all the time, but I really don't. My family could testify. And it's only because I'm either doing content or I'm writing ideas or I'm studying or I'm doing music. It's or I'm drawing something for the brand. It's like I can't really be satisfied. I'll wake up in the middle of the night because I feel like I gotta work. That's something I gotta work on. But it's just like I'm in love with the progress and the process, you know? But it's just I just have that mentality just to work hard and keep hustling.
I think it's gonna do you well. So my last
Thank you.
question for you is what else besides music and anything we've talked about is like something that's so important to you or a part of you that you want us to know about?
Um, Spirituality. I don't think we talked about that,
Mm.
but that's been like forget what I do. That's the fueler. That's like the gas for everything about me, you know. And I think I almost always credit God in like my music or social media or whatever I talk about because is really for if it wasn't for him, you know, none of this would have happened. Nothing. Not even from when I was a kid to where I'm at now. Like it really would have happened. Like everything. So I like to keep my energy right. I want to tell my listeners if you're trying to do what I'm doing or whatever you want to do, and you need to find a fuel to get you going. You're not gonna find it in people. You're not gonna find it in things. You gotta find it in yourself. You gotta find it in God. You know,
Hmm.
that's that's the answer for everything.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Brianna.
Thank you for having me.
I be ghost, been on the road. Let's celebrate, hit up the scene. I'm off to say I don't say.